I think one of the biggest issues for men and women in a relationship has to deal with the ability to not receive love. They've been used to take on mediocrity, but they cannot even see what love is for them based on the previous environments where they've been to and what they received as a child. So when they find a woman who is full of love and is willing to really give this much love to them, it feels scary. They fear losing it. They fear like this is not really for them, and this is why they get in their own ways or they sabotage the relationship. And I think if we could learn really one thing that would help us to attract that loving partner, the loving relationship, I would say learning how to receive love, how to put yourself at that place of receiving love and getting used to that feeling and allowing yourself to be triggered in moments where someone who's full of love is really giving that off to you and you perhaps see yourself resisting it. Like, I don't want to receive that. Like, that's too much. Or I'm just gonna laugh out loud and pretend this is not for me. And this happens a lot of the times because we really don't know deeply down what is driving us. But when you start to reconnect the aspect of you that is driving the wholeness of who you are, your feelings, your heart, your thoughts, you might be able to recognize aspects of you, an inner child version of you that you left behind that once has opened up for love and then it closed off because it was afraid of get hurt. So in holistic sessions with me, I'm able to help the person to actually meet that this aspect of them and have a conversation with them where they finally give them permission to leave or to be free again. And that process alone makes a huge difference in someone's life because one, you have awareness of what is. Two, you're willing to work with what's going on. Three, you have faith that the process is really effective. And the next time a situation that triggers that happens again, you will know how to behave because now you're coming from a place of awareness. You brought what was unconscious to conscious, right? But I also feel like love is not that hard to receive. When you recognize who you are as love, as a true essence, pretty much you're just allowing others to reflect that aspect of you without seeing that as like they're giving me love. You just change the perspective, your perspective to this is just who I am reflected in the other person. And that's a much different way to see it, right? It's not longer separation, but it's just oneness, which is all that is anyways. So I got some questions over about being a matchmaker and let's see, how do you ensure compatibility between matches? So it's not really me who ensure the compatibility between matches, but it's the two of them. It's how they flow together. If there's resistance and from one side or the other, and I see that there's not much anything that is coming from one side to the other than the beauty aspect of like it's convenient because I'm looking for someone and you're looking for someone, then there's no compatibility. The compatibility is that spark. This is what I'm looking for, is that spark of like these two people are potential soulmates, regardless of their backgrounds, of their differences, but there's a spark, there's a flow that is happening there, and then it's just a matter of adjusting and tweaking to bring goodness. How do you define a successful match? So a successful match to me initially is when no longer it's not only a spark, but also a thing that is driving those two people together. That they when they're next to each other, the butterflies are present there. There's like something to what is moving one person towards the other. And even the stories, what they how they introduce themselves, what they talk about themselves to each other, like you can see that there's a connection there of like, something that has happened to them in the past or something they can truly connect to, and that element, even if it's just one element, a small thing, that's enough to lead this into something greater. So can clients be specific about what kind of woman they want to meet? Lifestyle, values, background? It's a great question. So you can always be specific about the type of woman, and the more specific you are, the best. But that doesn't mean what you actually want is what's right for you. Mhm. For example, if if knowing what you want and really having that clear picture of like, I want a woman who is successful, who travels all the time, who has a background in tech and values having a family. If simply having these specifics were all it took for you to have that relationship, why then are you by yourself? Or why then you had this relationship before and you felt like it wasn't really right for you? Then we want to work on, again, understanding what's underneath the lifestyle. Why do you really crave a woman who travels all the time? Maybe it's because you don't want consistency when it comes to having a consistent connection. So, like having a woman who travels all the time allows you to have the time off. You know what I mean? Like, what is underneath your preferences? So, like, I like to kind of go deeper on even the things you think you are specific about to really understand what subconsciously you were craving for and what perhaps subconsciously you're craving for is not really a good thing to you, but it's based on a past trauma, a wounded trauma, or something that wants to be healed and perhaps takes a relationship as the opportunity to be healed through that relationship. I'm busy. How much of my time will this require? Well, this program is definitely recommended for the very busy man and the very busy woman who don't want to waste time using modern dating apps because they can see how stressful perhaps it is for them to always like, you know, go on a date and waste a couple hundreds gas and the conversation they energy just to realize that woman is not right for them. So the only time we ask you is like, the times you have in between to answer your text messages, which is totally up to you. Obviously, the sooner you reply, the quicker we can arrange the virtual dates, which will happen 2, 3 times a week via Zoom. And after you go through the virtual date, where you will have very specific questions to ask that person, where you will be able to test their chemistry, where you stay in silence and look at the other person and just really see what flows through there, then you have the chance to actually take that person to an in-person date, which again, there's way more depth to it, right? It's not like you wasted hundreds of characters or your time texting to really get that person to go on a date with you without even knowing if they're gonna accept you. It's that person is already aware of what's happening. So I'm already kind of intervening both of you there and supporting both of you in a way that will promote that encounter to be really successful. What kind of men do you work with? Do they need to be emotionally available? Ideally, they either want to be emotionally available or they're willing to work on becoming emotionally available. Why? Because it takes two to tango. So for me, if I'm investing my time towards developing this woman, towards this very feminine, vulnerable, um, creature, and she's also looking for that man who's willing to give her some of those traits and really match them. Like, if that man is not willing to work on these aspects of them, then I can use this woman to this man. So he needs to really work on his emotions. That's one of the criterias we use to really select who we want to work with. Can I still be soft and feminine while being supported in my growth? Absolutely. And this is what we encourage to women during this process, like of like spiritual awakening and while working on yourself and while even getting to know another man and learning how to surrender without losing full control of your life. Because the goal is not to make you dependent on this other person, is to support your independence, your emotional independence, while learning how to surrender to the masculine and trusting and learning how to be submissive a little bit to divine will other than just your own thoughts, your own beliefs about how things are supposed to be. So it takes a lot of surrendering through this process for both parties. I would say I feel like it's more me like matching you with the divine as opposed to matching two people, but it's matching like two people in a divine way. Like it's almost like the divine is matching the both people. So maybe it's not just a marriage, maybe it's a triangle. If that makes sense. So some questions about inner work self-awareness. Do you help clients work through past relationships patterns or emotional blocks? Absolutely, if they want to. Sometimes in when assessing clients and where they are, I can spot already how past traumas can be an issue to that relationship. So I do encourage sessions that will kind of clear some of those emotional blockage blocks and also heal some of those wounded patterns from past relationships. And also if they decide to stay together, so like the couple decide to stay together and they want to continue to do that in their work with me or with another therapist or with another facilitator, that's also possible, and that's also highly recommended in order to really grow this relationship. How do you prepare someone to be ready for real love? So preparation's key here, and the goal is just to learn how to surrender, how to relax, how to stop worrying, um, unlearning what you have learn perhaps about love, about relationships, and that's pretty much it. It's more a process of like rebuilding trust within and with others and just learning how to be still. And other than learning how to do this and do that, it's like do less and be more. Do you believe everybody has a type or can love surprise us? I think love can really surprise us. I don't have a particular type, for example. I have been attracted to the most interesting creatures in this planet, and I could never say that it was just based on looks. Like there has been some kind of looks that obviously I can get like, wow, fascinated by, but it just lasts moments, it lasts seconds even, because I'm not the kind of person who can be seduced by just someone's looks. It's more an internal thing. It's more about like what I'm seeing internally. And what I'm seeing internally is really dangerous. Like the more I tap into God and really letting go of everything I thought about the world, about others, it makes me feel like I'm closer to something more real. or in other words, real love. Like real love is beyond the thinking mind, is beyond what we think about or our perceptions of, or how strong is our identification to things. It's much subtle. It takes a whole level of intelligence and wisdom to really flow through us in order to tap in this particular place called love. Do you believe every, oh, yes. So I do believe maybe you do have a type, but also love can surprise you. What have you seen as the most common reason relationships fail, even when there's chemistry? S- What have you seen as the most common reason relationships fail, even when there's chemistry? Um, if if there's too much attachment towards that connection, towards what you're getting out of that relationship, towards what you're expecting from the other person, that chemistry can worn out. If there is imbalance in give and take, meaning one party is giving way too much to the other party, and even though they don't expect anything from the other party, that other party feels useless, that's not a good feeling to be nurtured and carried, as it can be also passed on to the other person. Therefore, that chemistry, that frequency can really hinder the truth, the authenticity, the true love there. So balance is highly recommended. Detachment while still showing up to love, to life. And I mean, I've seen many other things, and I can even say that from my own experience, but um, sometimes you are not at the same page, right? In terms of like how you're carrying your life. So like if I'm dealing with problems and you're dealing with some other kind of problems and we're not able to help each other through these problems and we always show up to each other from that place of heaviness and stress, it's really meaningless to try, It's kind of like useless to f use that person or that connection to find a way to resolve these issues unless both entities have awareness about that particular issue and they are willing to grow together and heal together and support each other. Even if they don't have full awareness of what the problem is, at least if they're willing to support each other in that issue, in that particular matter, then that's a good thing. What else? I mean, there's so many things that have happened to me even. Um, like doubt. So if you're feeling only one aspect of me and the other aspect of me is feeling not satisfied, that means I want to be with you and I don't want to be with you, and that feeling is back and forth. The sooner I start working towards this feeling and try to figure out if I can neutralize and come to a place of really wanting to be with you, the best. If I can't, then it's a waste of time. I'm wasting your energy, my time, our time together. So it's better to also say, guy, bye, you know? Is love a choice or a chemical reaction or both? I feel like love can be both a choice or a chemical reaction. A choice is regarding like divine will. If God wants it to be, it's gonna be, regardless of differences, circumstances, there will be a way, no matter what type of thing. That's when I believe it's divine will and choice. And chemistry reaction can be also based on past traumas, past experiences, the place where both souls find themselves spiritually and what is needed for each one of them. That chemistry can also happen from that. And in both cases, love is also possible to rise. Um, as long as, again, there's awareness, there's the willingness also to build that relationship, to grow that relationship, and not just go with the chemistry aspect of like I feel so good about you, I'm just gonna do things where I'm feeling good. And the moments I feel bad, I'm not gonna show up as myself and express myself as what is happening to me and show, who I am when I'm not feeling at my most passionate state. That's not love neither. So communication, authenticity, trust is built when those two people are really willing to do the work. Can soulmates miss each other by not doing their inner work? Yes, absolutely. The whole purpose of soulmates to be placed together is, to me, that they actually do their inner work. The moment they miss on, they are out. They're no longer a match to each other. Therefore, the universe uh, cannot use them for any purpose. Is romantic love the highest form of love or just one expression of it? I think romantic love is not the highest form of love. It's just interpreted as the highest form of love because there's more form to it, and that's the sexual element that is so strong, and that we see, a kiss between two people. It's like, wow, that's a very strong, powerful image, right? But that doesn't mean a mother's kiss to its son isn't as relevant in power as um, a romantic love, if that makes sense. So the expression of mother, the love of a mother, and to me the love of a husband for its wife can be the same. But yes, as human beings, we tend to interpret romantic love as this thing that carries more intensity, that carries more power, based on, you know, how our eyes are engaged by what we actually perceive. What if the one is not someone I find, but someone I become ready for? What if the one is not someone I find, but someone I become ready for? I like that. I like to think that it's about your journey of becoming, and perhaps when you find a man who is willing to work with you on your becoming stage, and as long as you are still gonna treat him as the one when you become ready, that's a nice thing. But it's really rare to find the one ready to take you as you are. Now, a lot of the times the person who's ready wants to find someone who's also ready, right? And this is also another reason why there's so much disconnection there between men and women, why they're taking so long to actually stay together. What does it mean to evolve in love, not just fall into it? So I talked about that in my other video. It means facing reality together. It means um, having challenging conversations. It means taking risks together. It means showing up to life together, not only as exclusive, but as two beings who are free and also embrace the intimacy, the times when they're together as one, is also really to take on each other's stuff as their own, because if you're merging with someone as one, you got to be able to take responsibility for both parties and not just like, oh, this stuff is not my stuff, I'm gonna give it back to you. You gotta explain here your insecurity. No, no, no. This is our insecurity. So let's work with this together and try to understand how we can be okay in peace despite of what happened, despite of the situation. Is conflict in relationships something to fix or something to study? Both. Sometimes you want to study this by having like a conversation with your therapist. You want to discuss this with a counselor, a mentor before you try to resolve it, especially based on the complexity of it, especially if you think like a 30 minutes meditation could not help you see it all. Like if you have the intention to meditate over something that has been bothering you, I trust you, I promise you that faith, the elements of faith alone within you will help you be exposed to another realm, to something you were not aware of. And bringing that also into a conversation to a therapist or to a friend will help you realize the situation without having to overthink about the situation. A lot of the times people want to study the situation, meaning like listening to podcasts, reading books and everything, and they just end up more overwhelmed than when they actually started, learning or trying to understand the situation. If love is freedom, how do we honor boundaries and still stay connected? Wow, that's such a great question. If love is freedom, how do we honor boundaries and still stay connected? So, when I become aware of my boundaries, that's a gift, right? Because I was hurt before for not knowing what was my boundaries. But now I know what they are. I want others to respect my boundaries. At the same time, I want to respect theirs. So first I gotta learn also how to respect their boundaries and truly understand and have empathy for what the other person says about this is something I don't feel comfortable with. This is something perhaps you enjoy, but I don't. And when there's that element of respect from both parties, it's much easier to continue to flow from a place of freedom, where meaning like you both can continue to do whatever you want and be yourself and honor your authenticity, yet maintaining the element of, but I know this person don't like if I do this and that. But I know I don't like when they do this and that. And if you forget at some point or the other, and the other person tells you, reminds you, like, hey, do you remember I told you about this? There's also okay. Instead of fighting over that forgetfulness aspect of one of you guys, just like, okay, next time, just remember, I can remind you why this makes me feel uncomfortable. And that's pretty much it. Like you can still be free while respecting each other's boundaries. What would it look like to love without attachment but deep devotion? So deep devotion means surrendering to the other person at a level of surrendering to God. Almost like seeing that person as the one and only of your life. And I think we are all looking for that. This gives me so much within just talking about it. But yeah. So ultimately, when you fall in a relationship to someone, you already devoting an aspect of you to that person, or you end up devoting yourself to many aspects of other people and you're giving pieces of yourself to other people. No wonder why you can't feel whole. Because everybody's kind of like fragmented. Like, oh, right now in this moment, I want to accomplish this, and these are the people I feel like giving my soul to in order to accomplish this thing that my ego so wants and believes that this is what's gonna make me free. This is what's gonna make me feel better. That's BS. When in reality, by feeling whole alone, by simply being whole, that's all it takes for you to accomplish anything else you want in your life. And realizing the truth of actually what it's bring you to the deeper aspects of yourself and the closest to true realization in this lifetime. So deep devotion means seeing the all of you into somebody else and willing to really face the hell out of that person as God, as yourself. It's like willing to see all of you in the other person's, willing to really accept no matter what thing, like no matter what happens, I will be with you kind of attitude. It takes a lot of trust, takes a lot of vulnerability, takes a lot of submission, but it's possible. Even matchmaking a couple like that. Okay, we'll do two more questions. Okay, so this is a question a lot of men have, and that's the last question we're gonna close with. How do you find women who are truly nurturing, supportive, and not just attracted to status? So this is a huge thing for men who has succeeded a lot in life and feel like they have everything that it takes to be the man of any woman's life. But yeah, they have this insecurity aspect of like, well, what if that person is not really with me for who I am and is just with me for my status, right? So typically in any of this matchmaking connections that I'm doing, I'm looking for the truth in these people. I'm not looking for the mask. And the mask is like what you put on in front of you to get what you want. I feel like I have this strong pull of truth, meaning like I can get the truth of anybody where they can't fake in front of me for a long time, for long periods of time. And this is why I have very few friends because I get the best or the beast out of anyone. So even if someone is showing up as the best version of themselves, as like someone who's not really just about status, like yes, they will value you for what you have accomplished, and they can see that as that element of like as an add-on aspect because they rather meeting the better accomplished.